everyone. So welcome to my channel, and I am Erica Small Coffee. I am an art maker and an art educator, and this is from my series intended originally for like middle school age students and up. If you are younger than that, you can feel free to try to follow along. You just might find it a little bit more difficult. So this is Isolation Art Making, day 2. As promised in my last video, today we are working on some soap bubbles, and soap bubbles are super cool to draw. The reference that I'm working from is some macro photography of soap bubbles. So I'm going to just start and I'm going to spread out some soap bubbles. Now these won't end up being perfectly round, so I'm working really lightly with pencils. So today my art materials are going to be pencil and pencil crayon. If you don't have that at home, you can always just shade these in pencil. Yesterday's activity was more of a shading activity, and so we just used pencil, but I do have my pencil crayons for today. So continuing on, adding some of those bigger bubbles, and as I was researching this, it was hard to find a good picture of soap bubbles to use as a reference, simply due to the fact that soap bubbles will reflect and refract anything that is nearby them. And so unless you want to draw, there was a really beautiful picture I found, but it had a full landscape reflected in every one of these, and I thought that's a bit much for a quick drawing. So I have my rough shapes done, and then I'm going to start squeezing some bubbles in between these. So as I do that, this is sort of going to be a cluster of bubbles, and this might be more of a reflective, slow part of the drawing for you. So just take your time, try to enjoy the drawing. It might not turn out exactly the way you want it. That's just part of the practice. Drawing, no matter how long you've been drawing, there's still always something that you can learn. And so oftentimes we aren't as happy as we'd like to be with our current progress. That doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't mean we're not learning. It just means that that drawing that we did that day, we might not like the final product. That's part of it. So we are, many of us are stuck indoors. Try to get outside, get some fresh air, at least in your yard if you can. I know it's much too cold here in Moncton, New Brunswick to open our windows. There's still a lot of snow, and it is a brisk day. So although the sun is out there and the birds are happily chirping, it is a bit too cold for my taste, so I will be staying inside today, I think. So now that I have this cluster done, I'm going to start thinking about even smaller bubbles. So I'm going to work my way. When I teach drawing, you'll hear me reiterate over and over, repeating the same sentence. An adage that I heard long ago and have long since forgotten the source. But first the dog, and then the fleas. So when we are drawing, we do not start by drawing the tiniest bubbles first. We're working on getting our stuff in, and you'll notice that I work all over my drawing because I'm considering the gestalt, I'm considering the whole drawing as I'm working on any given point of it. So I don't want to just like really draw one bubble and get that bubble complete. I want to work all over, get my sketch done, and then go from there. So this series is just some quick draw-alongs. Normally I would do quite a bit of editing, but that takes a lot of time, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that it will improve the end product of my videos enough at this point to really bother. If you want to look at my old videos and there's anything on there, like there's a handout that I use that you need, feel free again to just visit my website, www.ericasmallcoffee.ca, and just message me, through there, hit the contact button, and I will forward you that resource because I do have them. So if you have a printer at home and that, or it's just something that you want to be able to look at up close, that is something I can absolutely do. I've noticed some views on my how to draw Celtic knots video lately, and I know that part of it, I think I traced one of my handouts, so if you need that, just feel free to ask. I'm pretty sure comments are turned off on my videos just because they are intended for kids. So, and if you're drawing along and you're a grown-up, good on you. It is really a beautiful thing to draw, and even if we're not good at it, that doesn't matter. So, if we think we're not good at it, we're probably better than we think. So as you'll see, I'm working now towards squeezing some of these bubbles in to these spaces. And again, I'm still drawing lightly. I'm trying to press lightly with my pencil. Now I use in my videos a heavier pencil. You'll see some of my students comment on it. It's kind of a strange pencil. It has a hex shape, so it doesn't roll off the table if I leave it. And they actually have replaceable erasers, and these were made popular, I guess, by people in the Disney studios. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, in the 40s. So it is a Palomino Blackwing, but there is nothing special about it. It's just a darker pencil. I would say it's about an equivalent to a 4B-ish. So if you're noticing your lines are lighter, that's perfectly normal. I'm working on a toothed paper with a soft pencil, so just squeezing these in. And I am going to adjust some shapes because something really cool happens when bubbles form together. And so they start assuming the shape of their neighbors. So they don't stay perfectly round. Their dome shape stays round, but where it hits the surface of whatever it's on, in this example, I would assume that these are soap bubbles in water, then they are just sitting on the surface of water. We'll just jam some bigger bubbles in here to save some time. So these can, like, if you are enjoying your meditative, like, drawing process, these can get very tiny. And just remember that as they get smaller, there's going to be a little bit more space between them, because then there's like some froth around these that are even smaller than like you would want to draw. So as I get into the next step, which will be coloring with pencil crayon, I'm not going to color all of these soap bubbles for you today, but I'll show you how to get started. So I'll take these and I'll adjust some of the shapes. So as this bubble comes in here, it's going to kind of adjust its shape to its neighbors. So just keep that in mind, and I'm showing you with my pencil. You don't have to adjust every one of these bubbles right now. I'm just showing you the concept before I start adding a bit of color. So again, like these change shape a little bit as they connect to their neighbors. Now I'm just going to do, I think I'll do the big bubble and then like a couple nearby. And you really want to try to look maybe at some reference. If you're really awesome, what you would do is you would actually make some soap bubbles and observe how they look. If you've got access to, I assume, some sort of digital camera at home, then just on a phone or something, I really encourage you to take a moment and make some bubbles out of soap. Dish soap works really well. And just take a look, take some pictures of how those turn out. So here we go. I'm going to be using, because they reflect, of course, the whole rainbow, I'm going to use some really unusual colors here. I'm going to use some green, some pink, And in my reference picture, they are mostly, like a lot of these macro pictures are shot on a black background. And so you can totally, I usually tell people not to use their black pencil crayon too much, but this is one of those cases where it's actually, something is actually black, so you will need it. And so I'm going to do this big bubble. I'm actually going to start with my black because I want to draw first. I'm going to draw in the black and then color this stuff after. Now, whatever shape I put in this bubble, I'm going to have to do the smaller version in all of these. So it might be a teeny tiny version. That's why I'm starting off with the big one. And I'm going to simplify. Obviously, that's always what we're doing as we're drawing. We're often not drawing photorealistically, unless that's your thing. But it does take a lot of time to draw photorealistically. So it's not for just a sketching, draw along kind of thing. So I've got these shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, when I would repeat those over here, I would do the same thing, but smaller. So they change, they'll be in the same spots, but they'll change size. And of course, as I color this in, these will get a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to color almost to the outside on this. And again, these are on a black background. So whenever you're looking at macro photography of bubbles or snowflakes, a lot of the pictures of snowflakes are shot kind of on a black background as well. I'll just quickly fill that in. We don't often think of bubbles being black, but when I do this lesson in my classroom, if we're doing bubbles, a lot of times I will use black paper and chalk pastel, colorful chalk pastel, but I know that that is not a medium that a lot of us have at home. So I won't be using that today. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it's a sketch. You can get as fancy as you want after when you fix it up. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of green here into this one. A little bit of yellow. This one's going to reflect in yellow. And I'll do like some pink down here, reflecting into the thing. Oh, I need a little bit of light blue, I think. A little bit of blue here. Blue, blue. So again, this is just a really great little project if you want to go slow. And if you just want to shade these, I'll show you how to do that as well. So, I mean, you could just go dark, right? And just shade your bubbles. So if you're like less committal and you just want to do a sketch and you don't want to take the time to do all that color, I do it like this. And then you're going to leave the outsides of your bubbles. You can fake like little bits of white. And leave the outsides of your bubbles white. And then if you're doing little bubbles, you can just shade them in like that. So we'll continue on. Looks like some blue over here. Again, you can hit that outside if you want. This is where, and we're only doing a little bit to allow that that outside, to allow your eye to kind of not have a solid outline there to rely on. That'll allow more movement in our drawing. The more our eye is like looking at different areas of the drawing, the more interesting to our brain it will be, which is kind of fun. All right, so then the massive endeavor of doing a similar design. So what you could do is you could just be like, oh, every one of these bubbles has green in this spot. So there's absolutely shortcuts to drawing. And then you would do, and I try to encourage my students to do this, like if you know you're going to pick up that yellow pencil crayon to do one little section, it's actually easier to do a bunch of them all at the same time. I'll use my blue, 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 blue. So again, you can do your black first. You could not. Entirely up to you. So my way of doing things, totally not the only way of doing things. I've been drawing a long time, but I can honestly say this probably maybe like the third time I have drawn soap bubbles in pencil crayon. It's just, we're sticking to pencil crayon because that's what we've got at home. And I'm trying to think of things that we might already have on our minds right now, and I know soap is definitely one of them. So I hope you're taking time for yourself to do the things. I know that it can be challenging to kind of be stuck around the house, but try to find time to do the things that make you happy. And if you can't find those things, try different things. Just keep trying, because you never know. I have learned so many interesting things over the years that I just, I wasn't sure if I liked, and I tried them anyway. And then it turned out that I really, really enjoyed them. So drawing might be like that for you. And there are infinite, just absolutely incredible resources on the internet, and so many artists that will teach you to draw pretty much whatever, whenever you want. And you are guaranteed, if you just look, to find someone who is at just above your skill level. So you always want to head slightly out of your comfort zone, a little bit more difficult, unless you're just doing it for fun. And then if you're not trying to challenge yourself or go further with it, if you're just trying to do it as therapeutic, as calming, then you might want to choose something that is already within your realm of abilities. So I'm just going in here with the black right now. And yeah, soap bubbles are extremely complex and very, very beautiful once you start to look at them. And it's those little things that we don't always have the time to take and look at, that we can actually take a few minutes right now and explore, which is kind of magical and very beautiful. This morning I actually, as I was waiting for the coffee to brew, I was watching out my kitchen window, and there was so many chickadees, and it's normally a rare day that I actually see chickadees, let alone a whole bunch of them. So there was chickadees and the regular squirrel, and there was actually also a pheasant in my neighbor's yard, and I've only seen a pheasant here, I think maybe twice in 4 years. So it was very cool to see that the calm has brought the animals out of hiding during the daytime. So I've done a section of these bubbles. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks fun. And you can totally draw as much as you want. Or, again, it's a sketch. This is just our isolation art making. We're just, trying to learn something new, get our mind off things, and just take a few moments to draw. So if you don't want to finish your drawing, you don't have to. There's no rules. And I really encourage you, if you are drawing and you're drawing along with me right now, to try to get a sketchbook. And a sketchbook can be as simple as just a bunch of paper held together with any sort of clip. And now would be the time to start a sketchbook practice if you don't already have one. And a sketchbook doesn't just have to be for your drawing. It can be for keeping your ideas, keeping a journal of your time. So, again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you enjoyed these soap bubbles, and feel free, again, to share them with me online. I would love to see yours, and have a wonderful, calm day. I hope that you are enjoying your time with family, or your time to yourself. Have an excellent day.